Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a video just going over my thoughts on the Razer Cobra Pro and the standard wired Razer Cobra that have just released. And simply put, these are their updated takes on the Viper Mini. When the Viper Mini signature released, they basically went out on Reddit and said, wait until the summer, we'll have something for you guys. More or less, and that is what this is. And the Cobra Pro it's left people feeling some type of way. And surprisingly, I did not get a review unit. This drop came as a complete surprise to me. I went out on Amazon, got 1-day shipping, so I've had these mice for around a day and a half now. I've been using them quite a bit, and yeah, I just have some thoughts and want to talk about what I think about them. So the Cobra Pro comes in at 77 grams. You heard that right. Around 20 grams heavier than the Viper V2 Pro, almost 30 grams heavier than the Viper Mini Signature Edition. So if you are somebody who is in that OG Viper Mini camp expecting like a lightweight, wireless, reasonably priced version, that is not going to be this. This feels more like an updated Viper Ultimate with the Viper Mini shape, basically. But funny enough, the Cobra Pro really does not edge out the Viper Ultimate too much, despite being a much newer release. It does have the same side grips that Razer used. I was surprised to see them go back to them, honestly, but the standard wired Cobra does have plastic on the sides and does feel a bit thinner. And the wired version does weigh in at 58 grams. So Razer basically said, we know you guys want a light plastic Viper Mini, so we'll just refresh that, but we can't do it in wireless. And that is basically the result that we are left with. The Cobra Pro, similar to the Viper Ultimate, is compatible with a charging dock, but you have to buy the dock separately, and it is $70. You might be able to bundle them on the Razer website for a bit cheaper though. But yeah, out of the box, you are not getting the charging dock. You're not getting 4K hertz compatibility, which you can argue like doesn't even matter, since this is obviously not like an enthusiast grade performance focused mouse. They do have the Pro name, so I guess they gotta throw like top line specs in it. But yeah, it just feels like it's in a weird place. It feels like it's more on the level of the OG Pro wired and the Viper Ultimate than the crazy, like, well-engineered, top-tier, lightweight, performance-focused mice that we've gotten used to from Razer. And I understand that a huge, like, billion-dollar company like Razer is not going to make every mouse catered towards FPS, but they just really did not do themselves any favors with people who are begging for the Viper Mini by releasing the Signature Edition, which lots of people are priced out of. There's still, like, availability issues on it, and then promising something in the summer, and then, like, is this exactly what people had in mind? Definitely not, which is why I propose the Razer Cobra boardzy edition. I'm not trolling. I would do it pro bono. That's a joke though. But yeah, I would seriously love to remove the side grips, maybe remove the RGB. How about we just do... Okay, no more free ideas. But yeah, hit me up in private if you want to work on this, because I feel like this could really satisfy the community. And there are people who I feel like won't buy this, but would definitely buy the boardzy edition. Let me know in the comments if you feel that way. But yeah, now I just quickly want to talk about the wired Cobra, because clearly they stopped producing the Viper Mini a few months back, and this is literally at $40, 58 grams. Like, it is just identical to how the Viper Mini release went down. It has their optical switches. It does have the 8500 DPI sensor, so it does not have an updated sensor, which for a wired mouse, I honestly probably would have expected it to, similar to the Death Adder V3 wired, the Viper 8K wired that released however many years ago. Like, you would expect maybe the better tech, even on a budget end wired mouse. But at $40, you are getting 1K polling rate. It was the sensor that was notorious for LOD issues, but I honestly can't note anything so far. They did make some adjustments to it, but yeah, I really wish this was the same 8K wired sensor they have in some other mice, especially since the HyperX Pulsefire Haze 2 released with an 8K sensor. It really seemed like this next generation of wired mice was going to be 8K hertz, like really good performance at a cheap price. So it seemed like a kind of missed opportunity. Maybe they still just had a ton of the old sensors lying around, because, I mean, more or less, this is just a fucking Viper Mini in the hand. And is it a bad thing? No, like, you can get a good small budget mouse for $40, but at the same time, it doesn't feel any better, really, than the Viper Mini did at release. Like, the cable, it might be slightly improved, or it might have just not, like, stiffened up over time yet, but the cable's totally usable. The clicks do feel very sharp. They actually might feel a bit sharper than the wireless version. I saw Techni note that as well, so there might be something a bit different on the wired Cobra implementation. But yeah, all in all, across both copies, the buttons feel really solid. It's Razer's V3 optical switches, so they are the nicest tuned. I don't have any issues with like pre-post travel or any side wobble. So click quality is really nice. The side buttons are a bit on the softer end, not like a very sharp and clicky feeling, but they're pretty light to activate, easily spammable, in a good position. They're not like inside the shell, similar to how it was on the Viper Ultimate with the side grip, so I gotta give props there, and the scroll wheel feels unchanged if you've used like any of the Viper scroll wheels basically. But yeah, these are not mice that are gonna feel shitty, like unusable in game, even though I don't know like the creed of the mystery consumer that this appeals to, like what kind of games they're playing. I was able to use this mouse fine in aim trainers. I did have to turn my sense up a bit. It obviously does feel hefty, and 77 grams being a bit back heavy, like it's not a mouse that felt amazing. It's not gonna be the #1 option I pick up for FPS, but it's fucking fine. Would I recommend it over a Viper V2 Pro? Really not to anybody, man. Like obviously it is a different shape. It is the Viper Mini shape. I figure people are going to ask like how close it actually is to the Viper Mini, so I'll throw up the Viper Mini Signature Edition right next to it. And you can just see, like, if you've used and gripped a Viper Mini, you are going to be at home with this shape. There's no like mystery adjustments that are going to have you feeling like super off. I remember when people used to compare shapes like this. You got this angle as well. It's like a 3D scan, and you can see very similar shapes. The Cobra is $130, this wireless version. So one positive that I do see is maybe like when this mouse goes on sales or it's available refurbished, it will be at a cheaper price than the other top performing Razer mice, so that's very good for modders if you want to like put the PCB in some like project shell. So that is one positive that I see, and I bet there is going to be a lot of weight reduction done by people like Bearded Bob, Silent G. There's definitely going to be a lightweight base plate down the line. There's so much unnecessary weight with stuff like the 2 DPI buttons, the profile button on the bottom, all of the RGB. So if you're the type of person who likes to open up your mouse, reduce the weight, like see what you can do to it, this is definitely a mouse where there's a lot of potential. But if you're somebody who just wants all of that done for you out of the box, it doesn't seem like Razer has any plans to do that, which is again why we need the boardzy edition. We can actually do the boardzy line and throw in like the Death Adder V3 wired specs with the Cobra shape. We can get the new coating, the 8K sensor. It would be crazy. It would revolutionize the Cobra line, in my opinion, of course. But yeah, I'll definitely continue to use the Cobra Pro and make a full review going over everything in a bit more detail down the line. I don't know if I'm going to talk more about the Cobra wired, because really what more needs to be said? This is the fucking Viper Mini refresh. Nearly identical in shape, weight, specs. The big differences are that it no longer has the plastic sensor ring, and the LOD issues seem to be adjusted. So yeah, minor improvements. I'm all for that, but once again, would have liked to see the better sensor. And the Cobra Pro, yeah, the deal with that, this thing's all over the place, but it does have Bluetooth compatibility, so now the average consumer can use it, unlike every other mouse on the market. But yeah, I mean, I guess the Model O2 is another mouse that this kind of stacks up well with, and there are just these more mid-weight level RGB feature packed mice that appeal to people, I guess. So this is just one of those, but obviously Viper Mini fans would have loved to see something lighter weight, and let's hope they pull through with the boardzy edition. But that's gonna be all for this little ramble, first impressions, thoughts, whatever you want to call this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for the best gaming mouse coverage on the internet. But yeah, that's gonna be all. Peace.